so we can start recording. So today's session will be all about this week, the entire week. It's all about buyer consult. Buyer consult. Who's here familiar with or actually have done buyer consultations in the past? How
I
many?
have.
Okay, so Kelly, Susan, Alberto, who else?
Angela.
Angela.
I have, but I'm not sure if it's the exact same system you use.
Okay, I think most of us have done it, especially if you've been working with the buyers. But I wanna share with you the approach that I use and the steps that I take when I'm meeting with the buyers. Usually for the first time. I mean, there are going to be times where you meet with them maybe once or twice, showing them a home or two, right? And that's something that a lot of buyers are right now want to do. Go out there and want to see homes before they actually meet with you in person, right? But you definitely want to make sure that this is part of your routine. Buyer consults are very important. They're not only important for you, but they're also very, very important for your client, for your buyer. You're going to be working with the buyers that are first-time home buyers. They have no idea, right, the steps it takes to purchase a home. And they may have done some research online. I mean, for them, thinking purchasing a home is going to showings, seeing a home, having an agent who's going to write the offer, and that's pretty much it. Well, there's much more to it than that. So it's our job to really kind of walk them through the entire home buying process. And that's what buyer consultation is all about. It's also an opportunity for you to continue to deliver value and separate yourself from many other agents that are out there, right? So let's start with the buyer consult steps, okay? So the first step is everything okay there? What was that? What was that? Somebody sneezed?
I think so. Bless you, whoever that was.
God bless you, whoever it was. Okay. So the first step is, when it comes to the buyer consult, is we want to meet him somewhere where we're not being interrupted by other things, right? So when we try to do a buyer consult, when I personally try to do a buyer consult at the house, like we go and I show them a house, right? And they really wanted to see the house. And here's what happens. A lot of times they'll be like, man, this is not a good house for me, not a good fit. I don't like this, I don't like that. So when I try to do like a buyer consult there, it would just not work, because their intention was focusing on that house. They're already done with it. They want to just move on, okay? So ideally you want to meet with them in the office. But let's say, for example, the office is just not practical. Logistically, it's not, it's not close to them. You're meeting with them on the other side of town, which happens all the time. The second option would be either meeting them somewhere in a coffee shop, right? Or maybe possibly their house. Now, I try to stay away from their house unless they're also sellers. And the reason being is because if I'm going to their house, most likely they're going to have some kids there. They're going to have a dog or two, maybe a cat or two. So there are going to be some, distractions. Husband is watching TV, or there's stuff going on where, again, it's just not the same type of a feel as you would get in the office environment or coffee shop. Now, there's one thing that I did not put in here that's something that we definitely have been doing for the last, looks like almost a year now, is Zoom, right? Google Meets or Zoom. So it's becoming more and more standard right now to conduct, most of the meetings online via Zoom or Google Meets or GoToMeeting, whatever platform that you guys comfortable using. Okay, that's something that you want to make sure that you incorporate in your routine as well. I rather have a Zoom meeting. I rather have a, for example, even like FaceTime or Facebook, Messenger conversation face to face versus not having anything at all. Okay, so figure out what is convenient for your buyer, and that's the most important part, right? You want to make sure it is convenient for them. The last thing that you want to do is for them to jump through a bunch of hoops. Like if they live half an hour away from here and you're asking them to come to the office, unless you're super busy, like you have so many buyers and so many clients you're working with, there's no reason to, for you to ask them to drive all the way to the office. I mean, there's a good chance that they may not. So make it convenient for them, do it online, do it at a coffee shop. Here's another thing that really works for me is like when you have somebody who's kind of fixated on going and seeing the actual house, right? What I typically do is I will line up a coffee shop near that subdivision, okay? And after I show them that house, okay, I will then say, hey, guys, there's a coffee shop right across the street. And what I would love to do, first of all, I want to buy you a cup of coffee, right? And secondly, I want to kind of sit down and kind of put together a game plan on how we're going to be able to move forward with your home purchase. Is that something you would be open to? And 95% of the time, unless they have something else going on, they're going to say, yeah, absolutely. Let's go grab a coffee and let's sit down for 15, 20 minutes and kind of go over, our plans or our goals. And that will give you the opportunity, okay, to continue to develop that rapport, present your value proposition to them, address any of their questions or any concerns that they may have. Then usually at the same time, I would have either a lender there on the phone, or again, we can do it through Zoom, or maybe sometimes even in person. If that lender is available and they're willing to meet, we can do that as well. Okay. So do this as much as you can possibly can. Like every time, like I know Ricardo last week, had a conversation with a gentleman. The gentleman was already, I believe, was working with an agent. He was not happy with the agent services, right? And Ricardo, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you invited him for like a cup of coffee or something like that, right?
Actually, I met him at the house. I show him a house, and then we talked there.
You talked there.
Yes.
Gotcha. And how's it going? How's that relationship coming along?
Well, I think he's confused right now. He hasn't been calling me back right now, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. But this week I'm supposed to meet him again, and I'm going to talk to him this week.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it happens where you're going to have buyers that will say, well, I have to think about it. I'm not sure. I want to hold off on it. You're going to have some buyers that are going to be ghosting you, right? There's a saying, buyers are liars. You're going to have those situations, right? But in order for you to really kind of, again, build that connection with them, right? Ideally, you want to meet up online. That's great. In person, that would be even better, because we all got great personalities.
Yeah.
And buyers as well as sellers, they will work with you because they like you, because they trust you, they respect your knowledge, their expertise. But the most important thing is likability. Likability goes very, very, very far, very far. So in order for you to share or exude your likability, you got to meet them. You got to have that conversation with them for whether it's 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. So let's continue. Very important to separate yourself from other agents by presenting your buy-side services the same way you do on the list side. Okay. So what we do is when we meet with them, we want to make sure that and I use a 3, sometimes in a 4-step approach, right? So the first step is you meet them and you continue to develop your rapport with them. Sometimes what I do is I just go back and ask the same questions that I would ask them during my phone conversation with them. Ask them about their plans, ask them about their wishes, ask them about their challenges and struggles, ask them about their family, their kids, what their goals are, right? Ask them what they're looking for in the agent. What is important to them when it comes to working with the buyer's agent? And if they can give you 2 or 3 top things that are important to them, you write them down. You're going to have some buyers that you're working with that actually had experience with another agent. And some of it's going to be great, but some of it's not going to be so great. So by you asking that question, hey, what are you looking for in the agent? What is important to you in the agent? Will help you to make your case, right, during this consultation. Like if the guy says, or the gal says, hey, Ricardo, I'm looking for somebody who's going to be like super flexible with their time. So now during the meeting, your focus should be on what? Your focus should be on the fact that you will work around their schedule. Your focus should be, hey, I want to earn your business. I'm available for you 7 days a week. If your buyer says, well, you know what? I'm just looking for that great deal. I'm looking for that awesome deal. I'm looking for a foreclosure. I'm looking for a short sale. They're still thinking in 2008, 2009, by the way. Now your message should be about finding them that great deal, right? Telling them about the fact that, we have agents in a company that share their coming soon listings, that you can go outside of active MLS listings and finding them a home, that you work with the wholesalers. Okay. But that's something that you definitely want to ask them, when you are having a conversation with them. Hey, what are you guys looking for in your next agent? What is important to you? Give me top 3 things that are must for you. Okay. So in addition to that, what I like to do is I like to pull up a presentation. We're going to focus more on a presentation on Wednesday as well as Friday. I have PowerPoint slides that I use. And the reason I like to use PowerPoint slides is because it really kind of gives someone a visual, like, hey, like it's one thing for me to have a conversation. It's another thing for me to have a conversation and then have the visual, right? Like I'm doing this right now with you guys. I can sit right now without the slides and just have a conversation with you. Do you think it's going to be as impactful as for me having this conversation and having slides at the same time? Probably not. So having slides, I believe, is very important. Now, the important part also is the fact that when you do have those slides, you don't want to be sitting there and kind of just reading them. Like that's a big turnoff. What you want to do is ideally, you want to know the slides, you want to memorize these slides, right? And you just kind of glance them while you're having a conversation. You don't have to cover every single line in that slide, by the way. But having slides are very important. And what's inside of those slides? Well, it's everything about you going to be able to offer them as their agent. Everything, the entire value proposition. Okay. Then the next step after that. The next step after that is really identifying and separating the needs from the wants. This is very important, especially right now, because we got what? We got no inventory. We got a very limited inventory. Okay. So they're going to give you a smorgasbord, if you will, of all the things that they want in the house. Now, you will have some buyers that kind of wisened up, there are they kind of figured out that they're not going to be able to have everything in their house. But you're also going to have some buyers that feel like, what, they can still get a lot for little. And our job is to create an environment for them where they don't feel like you're shutting down their dreams or their wishes. Like you're not hearing them or you're not listening to them. There's a big difference between really framing the conversation in a way where they actually come to that outcome themselves, or saying, oh, you know what? You're not going to get this. You're not going to get that. You're looking for a unicorn. We don't want to discourage them, because what they're looking for is you being there, almost kind of their savior, right? Someone that will actually tell them, hey, you know what? I got you. You're in great hands. I can help you out. I will find you your ideal home. It may not be ideal, but it will be a really good home for you guys. Okay. So what I usually do is when they give me a list of things, like I ask them, like, hey, give me what is important to you guys. Like, just write down all the things that are important to them. That's the first step that I do. So they're going to give me like top 10 things that are important to them, right? Like the wife's going to say, well, I want to have a really nice kitchen. I want to have an open kitchen. The husband's going to say, well, I want to have a 3-car garage. The kids are going to say, well, I want to have a pool, right? The husband's going to say, I want to have an RV gate. The wife's going to say, I want to have a 1-story because I don't want to go up and down with the laundry. Whatever, you get the message, right? I mean, they're going to give you the list of things, and based on that list, and then they give you the price, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, like how many? Like we have 3 houses, right? So what now we got to do is we say, hey, you know what, guys? As you know, it's a very, very competitive market out there right now. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind, let me just kind of give you an idea how many homes are there right now in the market. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I really want you to understand, right, what we're dealing with. So you give them like in their price range. If they tell you, you know what, I'm looking to buy in 300 to, let's say, 350 or 300 and 400. Go on MLS and show them everything between 300 and 400 single family homes. Show them. That's the first step. The second step is checking all of the things in MLS that they want in their house, like selecting all of those things. So you're going to select all of those things. And what's going to happen is they're not going to be that many properties. Now, again, I'm showing you what we're dealing with right now. Okay. So this third step of this process is like, all right, guys, let me ask you this question. If, let's say, we find you a house that has most of these criteria checked, or most of these requirements in place, but it's a 2-story versus a 1-story, would you still want to see it? Oh, yeah, we want to see it. Great. So now you went from a 1-story to a 2-story house. That opens up things a bit. The next question. Well, let me ask you this, Cindy. You mentioned that you want to have an open kitchen or a move-in ready kitchen. But let's say, for example, we find you a house that has a decent kitchen, but maybe in time, you guys are going to be able to resurface the cabinets, replace the granite countertops. That's maybe about $2,500 to $3,000. Appliances, then another $2,000 to $3,000. Altogether, we're talking about $6,000 or $7,000, right? But it matches all of your other things that you're looking for in a home. You guys wanted at least 3 bedrooms. You wanted to have a den. I know, John, you wanted to have a 3-car garage. Would you still want to see it? Yeah, Faye, absolutely. I want to see it. Great. Okay. So now the kitchen is not a must. Same thing with the RV gate. or 3-car garage. Right? So now what you're doing is you're separating the needs from the wants. And what that will allow you to do is it's going to allow you to expand the list. Another way I'll go about it is say, hey, from scale 1 to 10, 10 being a must, like you cannot live without it, 10 being a must, and 1 being not important at all. Where do you rank having a 3-car garage? Where do you rank having an RV gate? Where do you rank having a 2-story versus a 1-story? Where do you rank a pool? Well, you know what, Alan, we really want to have a pool. I mean, Johnny and Joshy and Aiden, they all really want to swim in a pool, and we always want to have a pool, and we're tired of a play pool. We want to have a pool. We want to have a pool. Okay, great. So that's a what, 10? Well, yeah, we really want to have a pool. Well, let me ask you this. Let's say we find you a home, and it checks all of the boxes. Has a 3-car garage, has an RV gate, has a nice kitchen, 3 bedrooms, study, but it doesn't have a pool. But it does have a room for the pool. You guys don't want to see it? Or do you still want to see it? No, we still want to see it, Alan. Absolutely, we still want to see it. So now we're expanding our search, our reach to the properties that don't have a pool. Okay, so by having that conversation with them, all right, it will help you because now you're not boxed into having only like a limited inventory, even though it's already limited inventory. Okay, to expand your search or expand your reach. Same thing can be with the specific subdivisions, zip codes, cities. Like buyers right now, they don't care. Like, yeah, I want to live in Peoria, but if I find something in Glendale, I'll live in Glendale. I'll live in Surprise. I live in Goodyear. I just want to find something. So that's the conversation that we got to have with them when you're meeting with them. And ideally, you want to have that conversation when you're doing this buyer consult with them, right? Versus over the phone. I mean, you can do this over the phone, but it's not going to be as impactful as doing face-to-face. And finally, you ask for their commitment. Finally, you ask for their commitment. Now, there are a couple ways you can go about this. You can ask for a buyer broker exclusive. Full disclosure, out of 100 clients or so that I helped in the last 7 or 8 years, I probably only had 1 or 2 that I required to sign a buyer broker exclusive. I never did. That was my choice, but it's up to you. We also used to use something called a VIP loyalty agreement. Basically, it lists all of the things that we're going to help them to achieve, all the things, all the services, everything that we're going to do on our end to help them to get into the house. And just list all those things, and then on the bottom, they sign. It doesn't have any teeth to it, but you know, by them signing it, they kind of give you that written commitment that, hey, I'm on board with you. But let's say, for example, you don't or not comfortable offering this. You're not comfortable offering a buyer broker agreement or a VIP agreement, right? I would just at the end ask them a question. Say, hey guys, like, you know, as you can see, there's a lot of things that we offer you. There's a lot of things that I will do for you as your agent. Right. And all of my services, by the way, so you know, you don't pay me anything for my services. Like the seller will pay my commission. Now, you don't want to say you're doing it for free because you're not doing it for free. There are agents out there that say, you know what, my services are free. No, they're not. You're getting paid by the seller. Okay, but say, hey, you know what, guys, I know we've been here for about half an hour, 45 minutes. As you can see, there's a lot of things that we can offer you. There's a lot of things that I can do for you as an agent. I feel like, I can find you the house that you guys are looking for. Like with all of the things that I showed you, like we can do this. I will work on your behalf. I will work around your schedule. I'll try to see if I can find you a home outside of MLS. Okay. And by the way, again, you don't have to pay me my commission. The seller pays my commission. But in exchange, all I'm asking for is your commitment, is your loyalty to give me a chance, to give you an opportunity to work with me. That's all I'm asking for, is an opportunity to show you and help you to find your next home. Is that fair? Yeah, Alan, it is fair. Awesome. So now you can either roll out the buyer broker exclusive, you can do the VIP buyer agreement, or you can just shake hands with them, whatever. So now you got them. They shook your hand, they signed a buyer broker agreement. They're ready to go. Okay. Any questions, guys? I know we had some comments in the chat.
I think the comments were just regarding the signal.
Hey, Ellen.
Okay. Yes, Kelly.
Is this also a good time to present the agency, the real estate agency, to them?
Yeah, you could, absolutely.
Because I usually do that with them at this point, and then the buyer broker once we write a contract.
Yep,
I don't know.
exactly. That's fine.
And on the read, I explained to them my duties to them, and they look like, oh wow. But I always explain the fiduciary duties and the loyalty and accounting and all of that to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, agency is definitely very important. A lot of times we include agency when we're submitting a purchase contract, but I think having agency beforehand, before that, saying, hey, this is a form right here to basically, it's stating that I'm representing you as your broker, as your buyer broker.
Right.
I have a fiduciary to you, right? So I mean, I actually prefer to have a buyer agency versus a buyer broker exclusive, because buyer broker exclusive, there's a section there where it says, hey, if you decide to go rogue and go and buy a house with someone else, you owe me.
Right.
You owe me. So buyer agency is definitely the way to go. And then if you want to add the buyer broker exclusive on the purchase contract, again, that's completely up to you.
Okay.
I think the most important thing that I believe is like, look, your job is to make a connection with them, really show that you can bring a lot of value, right? And really kind of guide them through the process. At the end of the day, they're thinking, well, I'm just need an agent to help me to see homes or like show me homes. It's much more than that. Much more than that. At the end of the day, you're not just the agent. You're almost kind of you're the project manager. You're their team leader. You're my gosh, you can be their shrink, especially right now. I mean, right now, you're gonna have to wear a hat of a psychologist or a psychiatrist. That's important. So that's a huge responsibility that you have, right? And that's something that you have to present to them. Say, hey, I'm not just another agent that gets in the car and shows you a bunch of homes, right? I want to sit down with you. I want to learn about you guys. I want to learn more about your family. I want to learn what you guys are thinking about in your next home. Like, I want to do that. and it's not costing you anything. It's just half an hour, 40 minutes of your time max. Okay. Any other suggestions? Alberto, any suggestions from you? Parker, I know you work with a lot of buyers as well. Any suggestions from you, buddy?
So
I think
actually
my
was
only
gonna-
suggestion is, go ahead, Parker.
Okay, I was actually gonna ask, how do you feel about doing a buyer incentive? Because you said that you don't like the buyer broker exclusive agreement because it has that line in there that states, you know, if they decide to buy with somebody else, they owe you a 2% commission on whatever, or a blank percent commission on whatever home they buy, or if the seller doesn't agree to pay X, they'll cover the difference. So up here, at least in Prescott, I've never been able to get one signed, and I don't really push it. I do push the READE, the agency disclosure. But what do you think about offering a buyer incentive? Like, hey, you know, I'm going to do everything I can for you, but also by working with me, you're going to get, you know, a couple $100 off of your closing costs because I'm going to pay for a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. What we do is, and what I've done in the past 7 or 8 years or so, I offer a complimentary or a free home warranty service. Okay, and it
Okay.
usually ranges between 450 and 500. 90% of the time, again, before this whole thing, 90% of the time the seller would pay for it before the shortage of inventory. Like we would actually put that in the purchase contract saying the seller takes care of it, right?
Right.
So that handles that. But right now, you know, you're gonna have sellers that are gonna say, you know what, I'm not paying for that. Like, you know, so that's something that you may want to include and tell them, hey, you know what, you guys buying a house and it's probably a resale and it was built 20 years ago, and there may be a few things around the house that need to be maybe possibly fixed, or again, there's certain things that may happen within that 1 year time frame. By you getting this home warranty, which I, by the way, will take care of it for you, hopefully we'll cover a lot of those things. I mean, there's going to be a small deductible, $65, $70, $75 deductible, but that's something that will protect you and your situation in that 12-month period. So that's what I used to do. In a couple of occasions, I paid some of my commission towards their closing costs. I've done that.
Okay.
Again, ideally, I don't want to go there. Like, especially right now, if you're working with a buyer, you're working with a buyer. Like 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I can show them 4 or 5 houses and get them on the contract within like 24 hours. Now, I mean, it's like 40, 50, 60 houses. And not only that, let's say even it's 20 houses, but you're writing offers left and right. Right? But it's up to you. Ultimately, it's up to you. If you feel like there's enough margin there, like you guys working on the higher price points, like your average price point, correct me if I'm wrong, Parker, is like close to what, 500?
Pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. So right there, I mean, if they're paying out 2.5% commission, that's about 12 grand, $12,500. So if you say, hey, you know what, I'll pay $1,000 or $500 towards your closing costs, it's not the end of the world financially for you.
Right. I like the idea of doing the home warranty because that's, I don't know, more tangible.
For me, what I like about home warranty is the fact that it's something tangible, something they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't really think about it. Like, oh, great, thank you so much. You know, it's going to protect my appliances for about a year. And again, I would say probably still right now, half of the time you can have the seller to pay for it.
Yeah.
Have the seller to pay for it. Okay, cool. Alberto, you wanted to chime in?
Yeah, all I was gonna say, really is just like an afterthought. I mean, I know I always keep beating up that sync note. But definitely, I mean, when I meet with someone, I always add that note. Buyer's consultation, met with them. There's a label there that says met with them. And then I put the details because like you said earlier, if they have a certain schedule and it's important for us to focus on their schedule or their time frame or whatever, that's something I want to remember the next time I talk to them and I'm trying to schedule something with them. Because I do have some buyers that got like double jobs, or they might have like a second part-time job or something, so their schedule's a little funky. So I always add that to the sync because it makes it easier when I'm scheduling appointments as well. And hopefully you guys are scheduling your appointments through sync as well, because if it's synced with your calendar, it's going to pop up not only on your calendar but on their calendar as well. So I hope you guys are definitely utilizing that. So again, just important to make those notes even after we meet with them in person, when we have those in-person conversations.
Yeah. And again, use technology nowadays, Zoom, Google Meets, FaceTime, Facebook. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in person, in the office or coffee shop even, right? Use that. Use like, hey, I saw you're looking at this property on 1234 East Main Street. I'm available today or tomorrow. Do you want to go take a look at it? Go and show them that house. Then, maybe spend some time in explaining to them what you can offer them. Start developing a rapport that way. Maybe take them to a coffee shop nearby, buy them a cup of coffee and find out a little more about their situation. But buyer consults, you definitely want to have them, especially if you're somebody who's a first-time home buyer, someone who hasn't purchased a home for 10, 15, 20 years. You want to walk them through the process first. Like another thing that I forgot to mention to you guys is that's also a time for you to kind of talk about, some of the fees that they're going to accrue during this process. Like paying for the inspection, paying for the appraisal, earnest money, right? There's some buyers out there, they don't know that. They don't know that they got to pay $400 for the inspection. They don't know they got to pay $500 for the appraisal, $550. They don't know that they got to put down at least $1,000, maybe sometimes even more, to open up an escrow. I had those situations before where I took it for granted, where buyers, oh man, I got to put down $5,000. I mean, yeah, you're kind of buying a $500,000 house. So it happens, right? So again, I'm not saying lead with that, but like almost kind of like during your meeting, he's like, hey, as a matter of fact, just so you know, these are the things that you may want to have, right? Like, you got to have at least $1,000 for the earnest money, $400 the first week or so for the inspection, and then about 2 to 3 weeks later for the appraisal. Okay. All right, guys. Any other questions before we wrap this up?
Nope. I think this was good though.
I just have a comment. I usually bring the buyer's guide with me and we go through that little, the little one that just is, a page to flip open and it tells you the cost they're going to have and the process. And I kind of go through that step by step with them.
Yeah, love it.
Consult.
Yeah. We got those buyer's guides, Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Just have that as a visual, like, hey, this is something. And again, what I usually do is like, usually we start with an earnest deposit. Okay, that's the first step.
Right.
The inspection is going to be within usually 5 to 10 days. That's the second step. The appraisal is going to be about 2 to 3 weeks later. That's the third step, right? So you don't have to come up with all that money in one day, but make sure that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you gotta have X amount of dollars available.
The buyer's guide, is there any way that you could give Lee the buyer's guides for us up here so I could take a look at one of those?
Do me a huge favor, Samantha. If you can just email Melissa.
Okay.
All right, she'll forward it to you, or she'll send it to you.
Okay, great.
Okay. Yeah. And we also got seller's guides as well. So ask for both buyers and seller's guides.
Do we have
Okay.
any in Spanish, Alan?
In Spanish?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
We don't. I've asked.
Okay.
No, okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
we can, I don't know, we can reach out to Title and see if they've come up with one since I've asked, because I asked a while ago. So
Mhm.
Susan, if you don't mind, just send a quick email to Melissa.
Okay,
She has meetings with title reps, on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. So
okay.
if you send her an email, she'll present it to them and see if we can come up with something. But it would make sense to have something in Spanish. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate you. Happy Monday.
One last thing, Alan,
Yes.
since you did say happy Monday, I'm not seeing that many smiles, so I just wanted to show you guys something
yeah.
adorable and see if that helps.
Is
So
that
this little guy was just born like 2 days ago. He was born over the weekend.
Oh.
Wait,
And so is
Shai,
his little brother over there.
is that a goat?
That's a little baby goat.
Oh man, that thing would taste delicious right now.
Yeah, I helped pull him out 2 days ago. I
I don't know.
can't eat him, Alan. I helped birth him.
Oh, I tell you, one of the best dishes I had was I was in Cancun,
I can
right?
eat that guy. I didn't help birth him. I'll eat him.
That baby goat, roasted baby goat in Cancun was amazing. I tell you, it was delicious.
Really? Dang,
Oh, yeah.
well,
That's pretty
we
good.
got a couple more on the way, as you can tell by the mamas over there. We got a couple more on the way.
Love it.
So
Hey, that's
I'll let you have
awesome.
one of the ones that don't birth.
By the way, if you guys have backyards, big backyards, and you have lots of grass, you don't need to hire a landscaping company. You just have like one goat or two goats, and they just go through it.
did you sell them, Alberto?
That's what they do.
Yeah, we do. Adults, females, males. We don't do the babies, but we know a lot of people like babies. So if you want the babies, let us know.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
We also got rabbits and chickens. So we got like 50 chickens as well. I'm out here feeding them because they're not, the ladies aren't gonna do it to live here. So say we got like a bunch of chickens over there. I don't know if you can see them.
Oh, nice.
There's-
Okay.
There's just like a half dozen there maybe, but we got a bunch of them roaming around the whole property here.
How many eggs are you getting a day, Alberto?
Ooh, I think this morning we collected like about 20 some odd eggs, maybe 30.
Nice.
Because right now we got a bunch of them laying.
You know, if you add crushed red pepper to their feed, it'll make their eggshells harder and they'll produce more.
If I add what to it?
Crushed red pepper.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Yep. And they can't taste spice, so you're not like spicing their food. But for some reason it makes them produce more eggs.
Wow. All right, Alberto. Now.
I'll use that tip.
All right, farmer Alberto Farmer. He's going to be the farmer now. Some questions for him. If you guys want to have a livestock in your house, in your backyard, he'll hook you up. He'll do a consult. All right, guys. How's everybody doing overall? Everybody's good. Everybody's smiling. My goodness, everybody was so serious this morning.
Hey, Alan, I got a contract on my land.
You already
Nice.
got a contract on your land?
Yes, I'm
Whoa,
gonna go present the offer today.
that's exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Great. And then I was getting emails this weekend. Lindsay got an offer, I think, or two offers on her FISBO listing
Yay.
in Quinn Creek that she listed for $675. She was worried about being overpriced. I was like, just take it. Yeah. Congratulations, Kelly. Good work, guys. Well, listen, this week is the last week of the month.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go after it. Let's finish strong. All right. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much. And I'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday, hopefully Thursday and Friday, 5 days in a row.
Huzzah.
All right.
Who's coming to the office this week?
Oh yeah, who's coming to the office this week? I know Parker.
Who's joining us at the office?
Ricardo's coming to the office. No, I haven't seen Josh for a long time. I haven't seen Angela for a long time in office. And like Josh, like literally lives like 5 minutes away from here. He can walk there, man. But he doesn't come to the office. Okay. I mean, I understand Susan, you know, she lives in Susan, you're in Abatuki, right? You're in Abatuki.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, guys, come to the office. Come to the office. We got donuts here.
Ooh.
I think we got donuts. We'll figure it out.
It better be.
On donut day, we had donuts.
Donut day. When Felix brings them over.
I'm at my office.
All right, guys. Well, listen, have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time, okay?
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.